Howdy y'all, and welcome to the 10 at 10 for July 25th, 2024. We've got a great lineup for you today.
Guys, I'm Tim, that's my brother Matt. We're MrMaple.com, a family mail order business. We ship directly to your door. And we're going to talk about 10 of the 20 trees getting listed today at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
All right, y'all, let's jump right in. We've got Acer Pseudosubultianum Hazelcus.
Yeah, Hazelcus is a selection that was found and introduced by Ed Hazelcus. It's a Pseudosubultianum X palmatum hybrid, and it gives you everything you love about Acer palmatum, but with a little bit more Acer Pseudosubultianum flair.
Yeah, this one supposedly can work down to zone 4, very cold tolerant species. The Acer Pseudosubultianum adds superpowers to Japanese maples, making them more cold hardy. We love this one for its durability, great fall colors as well. I've had this one be blazing orangey red in the fall. Absolutely a stunner. I like that larger leaf. It is an Acer Pseudosubultianum, but for many of you, this one's going to be, indicative and reminiscent a little bit of Acer japonicum with that big round leaf.
Now this tree can take everything you love about a Japanese maple, the Acer palmatum, which is a small to mid-sized tree with shallow non-invasive roots, and allow people in a zone 4 to be able to appreciate that. You don't have to be in a zone 4 to appreciate Hazelcus though, because the fall color is amazing, and this is a rock star tree in anyone's garden.
All right, y'all, next up we've got Pinus parviflora Fubuki Nishiki.
Now, Fubuki Nishiki is a Japanese white pine that has a unique style of variegation. Unlike many of the other styles of variegation like the Tanima no Yuki or Goldilocks, the variegation on this is on the needle. And you'll see sections of the green-blue-green color and sections of the white, and sections of blue-green color and sections of the white. So it gives a very unique style of variegation to a Japanese white pine.
These are going to work zones 5 through 7, and Fubuki Nishiki has a very dense, compact habit, more of a rounded overall shape to it, and some amazing variegation. You will want to give this one some protection in your hotter areas, but I think you're going to love the color and texture this one provides, and it plays wonderfully off lace leaf Japanese maples. A lot of people have been waiting on this one to return. What do we got next, Tim?
We've got Acer palmatum Jade Dragon, one of our very first introductions here at Mr. Maple. This is actually a seedling that a customer found and gave to Dad, Mr. Robert Jackman. And this tree just has a dense, compact habit with tiny foliage. It's
one of the smallest overall Japanese maples. I love it for its texture and color, guys. The original one is there in Maplewood Gardens, and it's only about 4 foot tall now after, we've been saying 20 years for a minute. We may have to update that to a little bit older. It's been around since the 90s, so it's actually getting up there in age. I absolutely love this plant. Dense, compact, it is a perfect tree for bonsai. These are grafted, but you can do air layers from these. I think this is a quintessential dense bonsai habit. Jade Dragon really aptly describes the color, gives you a little bit of Shishigashira, Goshiki Kotohime vibes to it. Denser and smaller than both those though.
Yeah, for us, this is a tree that fits in small spaces, and this Japanese maple, Jade Dragon, is just a rock star. It's one that's going to sell out quickly today, so make sure you check out fast because our website doesn't hold it for you until you complete that checkout process.
Now, these are going to work zones 5 through 9, and they are exceptionally heat tolerant in full sun, so it's a great tree for a rock garden setting. Think of places where you can put Kamagata. This is another dwarf compact tree that's going to look great in a sunny spot. Does great in the shade as well.
Guys, next up we've got Pinus parviflora Cleary. This is one of the bluest selections of the Japanese white pines. It has that traditional Japanese white pine structure, so it's going to be very dense with this unique bonsai-like habit, but the blue color on this is really what makes Cleary stand out.
This is absolutely one of the best blues in the conifer world. You're going to love this one. Typically around 6 to 8 foot in 10 years. This one's going to work zones 5 through 7 as well, giving you some impeccable blue shades in the garden. It looks great in a container, but you can also play off this one in the landscape, kind of build that soft royal blue color, really plays out there well, and it looks amazing alongside Japanese maples.
Now, while the height gets to 6 foot like Matt was talking about, the width does also, so it really plays really well in the garden and just gives this unique structure without taking up a lot of space.
Love this one. Grab you one, a Japanese white pine with some incredible blue colors. You're going to love the texture this brings to the garden. Man, today must be one of the most colorful days out there. We've got some crazy ones, guys. We're bringing back Acer Lavigatum Hong Long.
Now, Hong Long is a selection that was wild collected in the wild by Mark Wethington. We were one of the first people with this Acer Lavigatum, and it has purple red new color on the new growth. And the bark can also get some really nice shades of purple as well. I've learned that this is a tree that is beautiful, but you want to give it some protection from the hot afternoon sun. grow it in a dappled light condition, and this tree is going to really rock it out.
Every time I hear this name, I think about the character in 16 Candles. I won't repeat his name because it'll probably get you canceled these days, but I love this plant. It is absolutely incredible. Now, this tree was named by our friend Mark Wethington. It almost was called Acer Lavagatum Mark Wethington because Tim and I fell in love with what it did. We grafted it from Mark early on. He had wild collected it. And I said, Mark, if you don't name this something, I'm going to name it Mark Wethington. So he didn't want it named after himself. They did come up with Hong Long, which translates as Red Dragon. Go watch our full breakdown on this. We show you some massive specimens at the Buckholtz Nursery. It's a really cool tree that gets some weird bluish pewtery shades to it. It gets some weird red shades over top of that. A lot of translucent color going on, as well as a purple interest bark. It is a really cool tree. It's worked for us here in zones 6 through 9. It's actually done really well in zone 6. It does tend to be deciduous for us here, so it can have differing levels of deciduousness. In a lot of hotter climates, this may keep leaves all year.
Yeah, for instance, the one in Raleigh tends to have foliage throughout the year. Ours here in Western North Carolina tend to drop their leaves. So there's not a whole lot of difference between here and Raleigh, but that's where you start to see the difference in it being more deciduous versus being more evergreen. Hong Long, it's a rock star with that purple color on the new growth, but the older growth that can get some of this blue-green color, it's awesome too. We recently did a highlight on this at Buckholtz Nursery. I don't know if that's out yet, but you'll have to check that out when it airs.
People didn't get the 16 Candles reference. Everybody here is younger. That's only going to be funny to 40 and over people. All right, guys, we're bringing back Chairman.
Yeah, so we've had some 2.53 gallons being listed on MrMaple for a while. We're bringing back 1 gallons of Chamaecyparis obtusa Chairman.
This is a fun one. Architectural, interesting in its habit, silvery green foliage, really shows out with that evergreen texture to it. You know, the darker evergreen color as well. It's a showstopper, guys. Get this one out in the landscape. It creates these little cathedrals, these little castles out there in the landscape. It's everything you want in a fairy garden, everything you want in a container garden as well because of that miniature shape. Chairman, it just brings it.
I like it because the structure is not even. I mean, it's not straight. You know, this branch here started out this way, then curved this way, then curved that way. It gives something extra in the garden with the unique way this tree grows. It's very attractive. It's won the ACS Conifer of the year before with the American Conifer Society. Y'all, this is a rock star. It's easy to grow. They're using this in miniature railroad garden over at the North Carolina Arboretum. So it does fit those miniature railroad gardens, the fairy gardens, very well because of its dense and unique habit.
Fits anywhere you need a dwarf compact tree, and it looks awesome in a Japanese garden. All right, we recently had this one, but guys, it's so popular, we're bringing it back. This is one of our most popular heat-tolerant trees from down under. We did an old school video where I kind of talking an Australian accent maybe it passes, but we talk about our favorite trees from down under in Australia. Guys, one of the top ones on that list is Emerald Sunset. So whenever we get sets of this, we got to get it back out here on MrMaple. It is a beautiful purple bordered heat-tolerant tree that I've had people raving about in Dallas, Texas.
One of the things that makes this tree stand out as well is new growth during the summer also has that purple-red border. So the purple-red border holds along throughout the season, but it just continues to flush. And this tree is possibly one of the most heat-tolerant of those red nail type Japanese maples.
Yeah, it's going to work zones 5 through 9. Again, I've had customers with this in full sun in Texas. It is a durable, heat-tolerant tree, and I absolutely love the color. I think it holds the nails longer than anything else I've seen so far. I think it's the superior red-nailed type. I absolutely love this one. We'll be offering it continuously here on MrMaple. We were one of the first people to get this one in the country, and I think you're going to love it. It's from our friends at Nishiki Nursery in Australia. Very unique plant. And Dad, grab you an Emerald Sunset today. Some awesome sizes, y'all. They're tall and they're skinny, but they're a big size plant. From something from Australia to something from Japan. Look at the sizes on these Rikuzen Shidaris.
Y'all, Rikuzen Shidari was found at a temple in Japan. A tsunami actually washed away the original tree. Our friend Yataka Tanaka had grafted it, went back and gave it back to the temple, so they have a Rikuzen Shidari back at that temple again. This tree has a strong weeping habit. I like to stake it up and then let it cascade down like a fountain. For me, this is a very essential tree for the garden because it's one of the first strongly weeping habits that have that larger blood good Osakazuki style foliage.
Yeah, I love this one. It's an Amoenum weeper, probably one of the first trees that's pendulous like this that's not in that Nakakomoto weeping lineage. So it's not likely not related to Ryusin, although maybe an Amoenum crossed with that. We don't know. It is a beautiful pendulous plant. Guys, this one has incredible yellow fall color. I would put it on par with, like, as red is to Osakazuki, Rikuzen Shidari is to yellow. I love the shades of yellows this one hits. And being that it's a weeping tree with a large Emoenum leaf, I think it's an awesome pairing for something like Hogyoku in the orange or Osakazuki in red. This one's only going to get more popular. Put it in a big container, let it weep out, flow out in the garden. Nice dense canopy to it if you let it do that. I tend to stake it up to about 5 to 6 feet and then let it weep down from there. The possibilities are endless though with this. It's a very unique tree, very durable, and I think you're going to love Rikuzen Shidari. If you're not familiar with it, it's coming out at 10 today on Mr. Maple.
Now, one of the unique things about the yellow leaves in the fall is that we've learned when we were in Japan that you can actually make momiji tempura out of the leaves that turn to yellow in the fall. You collect them after the leaves have went to fall color, and that is how it's typically done. This does this in a unique way because this is a tree that you could make momiji tempura on out of the leaves with a tree that you could grow in a container on your patio. So very different than Ichiki Jioji, which makes a much larger tree.
I love it. One of my favorite yellows of the fall. Even if it wasn't weeping, the color is impeccable. That shape is outrageous though, and you can do a lot of unique designs with it.
Guys, we're bringing back Hydrangea petiolaris Cougar variegated.
We've talked a lot lately about climbing hydrangea, and we're finally up to my favorite. Cougar variegated so far has been my favorite. It is a showstopper for the colors. I don't even need a bloom when a tree has foliage like this.
Yeah, the
foliage.
the leaves on this basically have this Oregano Nishiki style variegation where the new growth has some of the most unique splotching variegation, and each and every leaf is variegated differently. This makes a very fun climbing hydrangea to put on like a big tulip poplar or an old tree, to put it out on a fence. Give this something to climb on, and Cougar variegated is going to show off even when it's not blooming.
I mentioned this with 2 other types, but I'm planning on putting some wood up against a metal gate just to give some of my different collections of climbing hydrangeas room. It's a great way to screen out a neighbor on a deck or a porch, a see-through fence. I absolutely love this plant, y'all. Old oak trees are a great way to grow this as well. You get a high canopy to it. It's also a great plant to add color to those dark spots in the garden. This one can get mango colored new growth on the tips, yellows, greens. I absolutely love it. Again, it's a hydrangea, so it does flower. But man, when you got this kind of foliage, who needs flowers? All right, shout out to Dell Laux and Savage family. This is a great plant that was introduced by Dell Laux. This is Patsy, named for his wife Patsy.
Yeah, Eastern Palmatum Patsy has a unique style leaf. It's a Matsumuri, almost really frilly, and it's upright, 6 to 8 foot in 10 years, dense compact habit. The springtime, this tree has a little bit of a purple border to the edge of the leaf as well. This is a very small tree for the small garden.
Yeah, it's a Matsumuri. I guess not technically a lace leaf, but for most people, this is going to be a nice dwarf Seryu with a purple border to it. So it makes a great tree for the container. Really unique habit to it. That purple border is really nice in the spring. You can get a yellowish lime green eye with a purple border. Love that tree for that color. Oranges to yellows typically in the fall. That leaf is very ornamental. That very dissected, heavily Matsumuri leaf almost gives the tree a snowflake-like appeal. I think you're going to love the textures this one brings to the garden. Now, I actually prefer this one in a container. I like it in a small pot. Kind of let it just grow in its nice little dense habit, and it shows out, and you can really enjoy it in a small space.
Now, we've got an open house coming up July 26th and 27th. That's tomorrow and Saturday. So Friday and Saturday from 8 a.m. to noon. If you can make it, you'll want to be here. You can actually come and shop a lot of these trees in person, see what they look like during the summer, and see a large variety of 1 gallons, some really nice sized 10s, some interesting B&Bs. We've got some great Hups Dwarf right now in some B&Bs and tattoos. You're going to want to be here. It'll be a fun time.
Guys, we will make it worth your time. Heavy cutoff each day at 12. We want to get you out of the heat. There's going to be some amazing stuff you haven't seen before in these greenhouses. We've been bringing up and preparing for this since the last one. I think if you were at one of our previous open houses, you'll be shocked how different the inventory is. It's going to be all new stuff, very interesting. We'll see you here this weekend.
Take care.
God bless.
And have a great day.